Hi, good evening. I'm Dr. Juan Tineo, and I'm going to be the moderator for this panel, Classroom Initiatives from Pre-K to Higher Education. And we have Judy Lewis and Gilberto Garcia. They're going to be our panelists, and this is the dynamic for the panel. They're going to be talking for around 20 minutes, and we're gonna be taking questions at the end. If you have any questions, you can write it on the chat that I can also see the questions. And we are going to begin by introducing them. I'm gonna read something about them and about the work that they do for our students to be successful in higher education. Um, and we're gonna go in the same order that it is in the program. Judy, you goes first. You can talk in English and Spanish, I guess. It's the most important thing is to communicate our ideas and the projects that you have developed and how you help our students to get into higher education. I'm going to read both. I guess I'm gonna read both introduction, both biography or information about the work, so that way we don't get interrupted when we go from one presenter to the other. So Judy Lewis has over 24 years of experience working in higher education. She has completed 2 Bachelor of Science degrees in Business Management and Behavioral Science, psychologist emphasis from Utah Valley University. She has earned a Master of Business Administration from the University of Phoenix. Currently, she's a doctoral student at the University of Utah in the Educational Leadership and Policy Department. Gilberto lead skillful consultation, training, and coaching students, counselor, teacher, and administrator, and other stakeholders on fostering knowledge of college and career preparation program. During his tenure, the primary goal has been to promote equity in the access for all students, including ELS, through a high impact initiative toward uh, bridging the achievement gap of all students. He's involved in the matters relations toward the development of college career readiness for the Office of Postsecondary Readiness within the New York City Department of Education. So we are welcome our panelists. Yudi, you start. I'm gonna time it up. Let me get my phone. I leave it right here. And you go first.
Great, thank you so much. I am so excited to be here today. This is the second time that I present at this conference, and it is my pleasure como Dominicana to represent all the Dominicans, especially in the state of Utah. And I know I always get a question, are there any Dominicans in Utah? Are there any Latinos in Utah? And yes, we are here in Utah. There's about 1,500 or 2,000 Dominicans who live in Utah, and about 461,000 Latinos who live in Utah. And para mí es un placer estar aquí hoy. Muchísimas gracias por la invitación. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen really quick. So the topic of my presentation today is Buscándole la vuelta, effective K-16 partnerships in the time of COVID-19. And as Juan mentioned, my name is Judy Lewis and I work for Utah Valley University. And just to give you a brief overview of what the Latino Initiative is, and the director for that program, the Latino Initiative has basically 2 main things. One is to increase equitable educational opportunities for Latinos to enroll but also to graduate from college. So it's not just about having students come to our institution and say, I am attending a college, but actually graduating from it. Entonces, la iniciativa latina se trata de facilitar acceso a los estudiantes latinos que viven en el estado de Utah para que puedan tener la oportunidad de no solamente asistir a la universidad, pero también obtener un título académico. And we do that basically engaging with students, parents, K-12 educators, and then we also join the dialogue with community leaders. That's a very key component of what we do here. Entonces hacemos todo eso con la ayuda de conversando con los estudiantes, los padres, profesores que están en el sistema educativo, no solamente en la universidad, pero sino en la escuela secundaria y con líderes de la comunidad. Just to give you an overview for what it looks like for Utah when it comes to Latino student enrollment in higher education, we have about 189,000 students who go to college in the state of Utah. And out of that, about 22,000 students are of Latino descent. We at Utah Valley University have 41,728 students who are attending our university. And then 22%, we have 22% of USHI's Latino student population attending Utah Valley University. And in the state of Utah, as I mentioned before, there's 461,000 Latinos, so about 14.4% of the Latino Utah population. And so it's my great honor to work with that particular population in the state. What has it meant to have a Latino initiative at our institution? By the way, we have the only Latino initiative for the whole state of Utah. And since 2007 until 2009, we've been able to increase Latino student enrollment by 361%. And again, we're not only focused on student enrollment, but we're also focused on student graduation. So we've been able to increase Latino student headcount graduation by 425%. Right now, since 2008, we basically have the highest Latino student enrollment at a four-year institution in Utah. So we're leading the state of Utah in a lot of the different practices that we have. We're also members of the HACU, the Hispanic Association for Colleges and Universities. We just became a member this fall. And then the Latino initiative has been recognized by the White House as a bright spot for Hispanic educational excellence. That happened in the year 2015. And then we were a finalist for the Excelencia in Education Awards in Washington, D.C. for the 2015 and 2013 years, again, for Latino educational excellence and parental engagement. Entonces, no sé cuántos necesitan el español, pero la iniciativa latina hemos podido lograr muchas cosas a través de los años. Hemos podido aumentar no solamente el número de estudiantes latinos que asisten a la universidad por un 361%, sino que también hemos podido aumentar el número de estudiantes latinos que se están graduando de la universidad. Y este número lo hemos aumentado a través de la iniciativa latina por un 425%. Y hemos sido reconocidos por la Casa Blanca en el 2015 y también por la Organización Excelencia en Educación en Washington, D.C. So one of the programs that I would like to talk about in this presentation is basically one of our summer bridge programs. Since about 10 years ago, we instituted a program that is called Latino Scientists of Tomorrow. It's a 7 weeks program, and it's a tuition-free college credit program where Latino students who are in high schools, basically grades from 10th through 12th. This year, we accepted for the first time graduated seniors, and the students are able to take 2 science classes for free. And the classes basically are biotechnology and geology. This year, in particular, we had a lot of different challenges, as we all know, with COVID-19. A little bit more about the program is that we started the Latino Scientists of Tomorrow Summer Bridge Program in 2010. It is a partnership that is a K-16 partnership. When I look at the work that I do in higher education, I cannot do my work without looking and collaborating with K-12. They go hand in hand. Is how I see the work. So basically, for the Latino Scientists of Tomorrow, the goal is to increase the number of underrepresented students, specifically Latinos, who actually graduate with or go into a field of science. And for that, we, as I mentioned before, we work with a lot of different school districts in the state of Utah. What we know from the program is that about 80% of the students who complete this program actually attend Utah Valley University after high school graduation. So we know that it's very, very successful. And those of you that might be thinking, how much is this program per student? It's about $400 per student to host this program. And again, it's free tuition based, so students do not have to pay any fees. Entonces, este programa de verano, Científicos del Mañana, es un programa gratuito que ofrecemos a los estudiantes que están en bachiller, en los cursos que serían aquí del 10 al 12, es decir, de segundo bachiller a cuarto bachiller, y aquellos estudiantes en este año, aceptamos estudiantes que se graduaron de la preparatoria o del bachiller este año. Entonces, el programa es totalmente gratuito y la meta del programa es aumentar el número de estudiantes latinos que incursionan en el área de ciencias. Nosotros sabemos que en los últimos 10 años, y la información nos dice, la data nos dice que básicamente el 80% de los estudiantes que participan en este programa asisten a Utah Valley University, a la universidad, después de graduarse de bachiller. So we had, so COVID-19 hit all of us in so many different ways. And I remember having a conversation with the Dean of the College of Science, and we had a dilemma. You know, were we going to go forward with offering a summer bridge program online where we never offered that modality before? And I remember meeting with Danny Horns, who's the Dean for the College of Science, and I just looked at Danny. We were having a Zoom meeting, and I just said, you know what? Hay que buscar la vuelta. We have to find a way to still offer this opportunity for students. And let's see, you know, let's go ahead and go for it. We didn't know how it was going to turn out, but we had all the intentions to make the program successful. So, so one of the things that I had the opportunity to do in a month before the program started was to teach a trio upward bound class. And it was a full online class it was a 2-hour class on Zoom with high school students as well. And how do you keep everybody engaged? It's a question, you know, how do you keep high school students engaged in the conversation? So for me, I just said, okay, so let's go ahead and use that one class as a pilot of what is it, how is that class going to inform how we conduct our summer bridge this year. So one of the things that we did, we implemented what is called a success team. With a success team, I'm just going to go through it really quickly. So the students were obviously part of the success team. The faculty who were going to be teaching the classes, the parents were part of that success team. So really open and communication with parents and students was critical. And then with the faculty, we hire one academic tutor per class. So one for biotechnology and one for geology. And then I hire mentors. So basically I call them success mentor. From working with the faculty members in realigning or reframing the syllabus to not only just say instructor and list the instructor's name, to just call that the success team, so that the students knew that they had a whole team that wanted them to be successful. The picture that you're looking at right now, this is a pretty cool thing that the faculty for the biotechnology class did. So in biotechnology, there's a lab involved. Actually, the class takes place in a lab. But we couldn't do that because of COVID-19. So basically, one of our faculty members basically put together these kits, and everything that you see there, it was she created a portable lab for the students to be able to conduct the research that they needed to do at their homes. When it was time to run things in the lab, she would just go and drive and pick up the samples and then just go to the lab and then report the findings with the students. So that was very creative. One of the things that we found out with COVID-19 is that it gave us the opportunity to basically expand the program to not only students that were geographically close to the university. So we had students in the program that were basically 5 minutes away from the university campus to 3 hours away from the university campus. So COVID-19 provided in many ways opportunities to look at things, I say things outside of the box, because we had to basically figure out the dynamics of how are we going to be engaging students Monday through Thursday for 7 weeks from 9 in the morning until 2 p.m. and then have extracurricular activities after that, all online. And the success team, basically, we had a lot of mentoring, a lot of motivational speaking. Right before every class, we had a video that we actually, a motivational video that we show. It could have been like a minute long or 5 minutes long. And we basically had the students debrief that, just ask them, what are your thoughts on the video or the information that you're receiving? And we ended up with 44 Utah high school students who represented 17 different schools. Again, one of the things that we, as we were planning in conducting the summer bridge, was one, we're going to do a synchronous class or asynchronous class. So one of the main foundations that we had in mind was, if we want for this student population, we couldn't just do a live streaming class and just pretend that the students were going to just be there fully engaging with the class. So we actually had all the students, they turned on their cameras, and they were invited to and encouraged to participate and to build that relationship with the faculty members and the mentors who were assigned to the class. And entonces, en el programa de verano de UVU, tuvimos 44 estudiantes de high school, de bachiller, que representaron 17 diferentes escuelas en el estado de Utah. Los estudiantes estaban en clases desde de lunes a jueves, de 9 a 2 de la tarde, y teníamos actividades adicionales a ese horario. Entonces, uno de los desafíos que tuvimos fue cómo nosotros podemos todavía mantener la atención de los estudiantes e involucrar a los estudiantes de una manera de que no se aburrieran, que estuvieran participando, comunicándose con los profesores. Y una de las cosas que vimos fue, primero, es que el método online, si por ejemplo decíamos de que live streaming, para que ellos pudieran ver la clase, entendíamos que a lo mejor no se iban a poder, no iban a tener el interés que deberían tener al no ver al profesor. Entonces nosotros en todas las clases, los estudiantes encendían sus cámaras y siempre participaban. Una de las cosas que yo voy a decir en inglés casi, es que al conducir este programa tenemos muchos estudiantes que no tienen, por ejemplo, las computadoras o internet y todo eso. Entonces, el equipo de la universidad y yo nos encargamos de aplicar para diferentes fondos como grants para poder comprar computadoras y si era necesario prestárselas a los estudiantes y también pagar por el acceso al internet por los 2 meses del programa. Entonces, tomamos en consideración muchas cosas y esas fueron algunas. So something that we took into account in conducting the summer bridge was making sure that we had the funding, you know, through grants or private donations to be able to buy computers for any, just on a loan basis, to make sure that the students had access to a computer, and that, and we also had funding to pay for internet access if the students needed that. It was really important for us to be mindful of that, as we, most of the students are low-income first-generation students. Again, we had quite a few school districts who participated in the program. These are some of the financial donations that we basically got donations from. Algunas de las personas, organizaciones que donaron para el programa. And then I will go ahead and stop sharing my screen. But I think that one of the success pieces of this program was that also parental piece, where we were communicating not only with the students, with the faculty, making sure that everybody was on the same page, but we were able to communicate regularly with the parents of the students who were in the program. And in the process, in the first stages of the process, as I said before, we never had offered this program in the past. And in the first stages of the process, even developing the online application that would be user-friendly for students to be able to navigate, or having individuals available so that they can help students complete the application. The lessons learned from the program were basically, so we offer the Latino Scientists of Tomorrow for the last 10 years. And this is 2020 was the year where the students excel academically beyond any of the other years. And we were able to create a sense of community with the students, engage the students in different, not only in the subject matter for biotechnology and geology, but just engage them in the college conversation. And so anyway, but that's my 20 minutes. Juan, if you want to go ahead and have Gilberto go next.
Okay, we have 1 minute and 12 more seconds. So
okay,
it is okay. We're gonna get the questions at the end, Gilberto. Gilberto Garcia?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so it is your turn. She covered the 20 minutes, and then we're gonna get questions and comments at the end of the both presentations.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. I'm going to try to do this bilingual because I do not know if the entire population audience here is fully bilingual. I am going to share with you PowerPoint. Is in English, so what I would try to do is translate it back into Spanish. The clock.
Gilberto, we have a lot of people connected, so you can just speak. Oh, I'm sorry, Gilberto. Before you go over, I see the co-chair of the Dominican Studies Association there, Ana Garcia. Ana, you want to say something before Gilberto get ready? Since I see you there, it is a great opportunity.
¿Cómo no? Es un placer para amigas y amigos de muchos años, personas a las cuales quiero y respeto muchísimo. Y de hecho, Juan, en el panel previo, pude ver varios de los que eran estudiantes en aquel entonces y ahora son maestros, así que están en educación, igual que tú, Gilberto, un placer verte. Oh, la pandemia nos tiene con barba, ¿verdad?
Sí, sí.
Ana
Sí,
García está hablando de un
Y Judy
programa.
bellísima, como siempre, Judy bellísima.
Gracias.
Yo
Ana
cumplo años,
mencionó,
me manda videos cantándome las mañanitas.
Ya lo saben.
Ana
Un
acaba de
placer.
mencionar estudiantes de
Ujú.
un programa excelente que ella dirige, que es el Exchange Program de Hostas. Un programa donde cuando yo fui en el 2010, que me dieron la beca, pasamos 17 días en la República Dominicana. La única vez que me sentí como turista, y como yo no soy de la capital, yo soy de un pueblo lejos de Mao, del Cibao, pude conocer la catedral, fui al palacio, fui a los museos, tomé clases con profesores excelentes de la UAS. Apúntense, Ana, ojalá que este año se pueda hacer, y yo quiero trabajar para ese programa.
Todos los años, de hecho, Gilberto forma parte del programa, también él da
Sí.
parte de las orientaciones. Este año, como todos saben, lamentablemente no pudimos hacer el viaje because of the pandemic. But that's it. When things are better, we'll be Zoom and we'll have a trip again to the Dominican Republic. It's great.
Ana, y solamente te digo, inclúyanme.
Yo sé que tú tienes la maleta en la puerta, Judy.
Ya lo sabes.
And for those who are our teachers, they are CTL hours.
Sí, especialmente enfocado en maestros de educación primaria, secundaria y también profesores de educación superior. La idea es un programa de inversión sobre alta cultura y educación de la República Dominicana, y lo he tenido ya por 36 años.
Excelente.
Entonces, un programa muy bueno, porque cuando uno viaja y va a la República Dominicana, le trae vivencias, ¿verdad? De la cultura, de la historia, de las memorias que uno tiene. Bueno, yo no sé si Gilberto ya está preparado. Mira, yo hice una presentación aquí en lo que tú te pones listo.
Adelante, Gilberto.
Muy bien. Gracias, Juan, Ana.
Tiempo.
Okay, so,
Podemos seguir hablando si todavía.
no, está aquí.
Okay.
¿Pueden ver el?
Yes, we do. College readiness, yes.
Yes, college readiness, and I'm trying to open it up as a PowerPoint. Oh my God, where is it?
Take your time.
Here it is. Okay. So this evening, I'm going to talk to you about a sustainable college career program for the Dominican Diaspora, which is a program that we have in practice, very similar to what Judy referred to in Utah. And but I'm talking about the basis of the program, because we at the Office of Postsecondary Readiness, which is part of the Division in Teaching and Learning, we have several initiatives that will be to target what is the student's interest. But this is the overall, the base of all the programs. So, my name is Gilberto Garcia. I'm a senior educational researcher for the Division of Teaching and Learning under the Office of Postsecondary Readiness on the New York City Department of Education. This I'm going to skip. So I will start first with, what do you mean when we say college and career readiness for our multilingual learners, specifically for the students of bilingual background? First, I'm going to start with the definition of what is college and career readiness. And it's defined by Dr. David Conley. It's without remediation, a credit-bearing general education course of 2 years of certificate programs. That's basically what a college and career readiness is referring to. When we say college, and the word college is prepared for the 4 keys, which we're going to be talking specifically based on Dr. David Conley's approach to college and career readiness. There is several approaches. There's several frameworks, but I'm going to use specifically for this presentation, David Conley's college and career readiness. The career, it possesses sufficient foundation knowledge and skills and general learning strategies necessary to begin studies in a career pathway. And the civic part is possessing a specific knowledge necessary to begin an entry-level position, meet basic expectation regarding civil and professional behavior and demeanor. Now, in New York State, and I know we have students, who, audience here who are not from New York State. We have, with basically most of our students that graduate from the New York City Public School will move to the what we call the City University of New York, which is the which one is the one hosting this presentation today, and is the one that has the largest number of our students going to. In the standards for them, college and career readiness, it can be acquired when the students reach a 480 or higher in the critical reading of the SAT score, or 480 on the SAT evidence-based reading and writing. On the SAT ACT score, it will be 20 or higher. And in the English regions, it should be around 75 or higher. Then they have the Cuny Assessment, which is basically information that have been shared with us from the Cuny schools, where the students will have to have acquired 55 in the grade and a 56 in the writing. In regards to math, the students have to acquire a 530 on the SAT, ACT 21 or higher, and acquire on the respective either the algebra, the geometry, or the sequentials of the algebra, 75 or above. With that, we're going to go to what are the most challenges that we have with our students to meet. And with these keys, first of all, I'm going to go over what keys we target in these programs, and then we're going to see some of the programs. So as I referred to before, Dr. David Conley referred to the college and career readiness, which is the basis they use for the college board, the 4 keys. And those 4 keys are the cognitive strategies, content knowledge, key learning skills and techniques, transition knowledge and skills. I'm just going briefly through it right now because I am in the next few slides, I am going to go into details of them and how it connects for English language learners and relevance. The cognitive skills. The cognitive skills for our students are how they think overall. That's what they refer to. The key word here is think. Where the students, how they do problem formulation, how they create hypotheses and strategize, how they create research and interpretation, analyze and evaluate information, how they communicate and organize and construct their communication, precision and accuracy. On the second cognitive keys is content knowledge. And it refers to, this is the structural knowledge, which unfortunately I put it in a letter, the contrast letter didn't show up. So that's the first here, the structured knowledge. It is basically referring to the core content, which is the curriculum itself. What are the requirements? In the case of New York City, we are in the New York State, we are required a set of credits and a set of regions, which in this case, due to the pandemic, has been graded a waiver by the state that the students will not have to take these regions. Also, at this moment, the state is reconsidering, reassessing the need of the regions and alternate, or as an alternate, use an alternate form for students who cannot meet those requirements. The second one is the challenge level, and is referring to the structure of the course and understanding the insight and how they can retain their learning. That part here is where we work very closely with many of our CUNY schools. Many of our English language learners, which happen to be of Dominican background in our case, are students who come in with some deficiency in the English language, but yet they have other content that they are experts on. One of them, it could be the Spanish language, el lenguaje en español. So one of the things we try to enforce and motivate in many of the schools is to give them AP classes in Spanish as a literature, AP Spanish, and provide them programs. So that way the students can leave our schools with those credits and go to when they go to the college, they can transition into a college where they can use those credits for that is required as foreign language. The next one is the values that we provide for the students in terms of providing program. Like we are trying to make very close connection with our CTE programs where the students can feel value of the skills that they have. Many times they come with skills and those skills can be interpreted into their secondary education and then transfer to the post-secondary education. The next one that I will refer to is the attributions, and the attribution is basically extending how their learning are connected to their post-secondary education. We have many of our students probably are coming in with some skills as they have learned a skill in their native country, specifically Dominicans. Muchas veces los niños en la República Dominicana ya han, o sea, con la familia, han aprendido una habilidad y optan por seguir esa facultad o esa habilidad. Pues tratamos de identificar programas en el cual los muchachos puedan participar y puedan continuar una educación postsecundaria en un instituto donde puedan continuar estas habilidades. Esto lo encontramos mayormente con muchos varones en la mecánica automotriz. Now, the connection is one of the critical parts. La conexión para muchos de nuestros adolescentes con la educación es nuestra parte. Y para esto, yo he querido compartir con ustedes la biopsia de un breve video de el señor Simon Sinek sobre la razón, se refiere to why.
A lot of people don't realize that I actually hated reading for the majority of my life. By the time I was 18, I don't think I had really read a single book unless it was part of an assignment and I was just forced to do it. But ever since I went to first grade, my teachers constantly tried to inspire me to read, and it never worked. It just made me hate it even more. And then finally, when I was about 18 or so, I started to find mentors, most of them online, and they were able to inspire me to read almost instantly. And now I can't even imagine a life where I don't read. So what was the difference between my teachers who tried to inspire me to read for 12 years and failed constantly, and my mentors who were able to do it in basically no time? Well, here it is in the context of the golden circle. My teacher started with the what. You have to read this classic. This is a great book. You have to. Then they sometimes went to the how and said, this is how you read it. But that was it. There was no why. The funny thing is, if I'd asked, why should I read it? They would probably get angry and start yelling. How could you ask a stupid question like that? What do you mean, why should you read a classic? And that anger would mostly come from the fact that they haven't really thought about the why. So they can't really clearly articulate it. Most people, and even most organizations, don't really know why they do what they do. But how are my mentors different from my teachers at school? They had successful relationships. They had success in their businesses. And they said, look, do you want your girlfriend to be attracted to you? Do you want to build a successful business? Do you want to create powerful relationships instead of always getting your emails ignored just like everyone else? And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I want. And they were like, okay, good. Then pick up a book. Oh, and by the way, How to Win Friends and Influence People is a great book. So is The Way of the Superior Man. And I picked up both of those books and read them, and now reading is an inseparable part of my life. That is how great leaders inspire action. Everybody starts from the what, and most people never even get to the why. Most people create a product and they want to tell you about all the amazing features and specifications. They want to tell you about how these features work so well. But the truth is, most people don't care about your what and how. Most people don't want to be told the exact measurements of your CPU. They don't want to be told how the little chips interact with each other so amazingly. They want to be told something like this. We value efficiency just like you do. Here's how we can help you be more efficient. And here's a product that will help you achieve exactly that. And that's exactly what I want to buy. If you tell me my company's going to be more efficient, I want to know more. If you tell me how great your newest chip is, I don't really care. So again, most people start from the what and never even get to the why. You're not going to make that mistake. You're going to know your why, and you're going to start with it because you realize that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it.
So now going back. So, una de las razones por la cual quise compartir este video es muchas de las razones por las cuales nuestros estudiantes no conectan muchas veces con el sistema académico es porque no ven el razonamiento, la razón, el por qué en esta conexión. Tenemos muchos muchachos que vienen de lugares muchas veces que no han sido propiamente educados hacia dónde vienen, cuáles son las necesidades que necesitan cubrir en este lugar, nuevo contorno, y cuáles son las habilidades que necesitan. ¿Qué importancia tendría una educación secundaria y una certificación postsecundaria, sea de un instituto tecnológico, de una universidad técnica o una universidad académica, como la conocemos como community college o university? Ahí es que donde muchas veces nosotros tenemos que empezar nuestra comunicación con nuestros estudiantes, sobre todo nuestros estudiantes dominicanos de primera generación, que llegan a Estados Unidos con la ilusión de que el día que fueron visados, el día que llegaron a Estados Unidos, todos sus problemas fueron resueltos. Y sí, los problemas que tenían tal vez, porque muchas más familias migran por situaciones de problemáticas de su país, fueron resueltos, aquellos fueron resueltos, o muchos de ellos, pero ahora se encuentran en otro lugar con otro set de problemas. Y uno de ellos es la habilidad de poder emerger y ser fructífero en esta sociedad. Ahora para ello, voy a continuar con la presentación acá. Y el third key is learning skills. In the learning skills, we have the students, in order for the students to be successful beyond high school, they need to own their learning and know how to manage their learning. What do we mean by that? Is own what they already know. If a student comes in the 10th grade, they probably had taken geometry in algebra already. So they are ahead compared to the curriculum that is presented in math in New York State. Yet, their students might also manage what they need to learn. The language, for example, might be an issue where they have to work on. The next item in ownership is goal setting. The goal settings are creating for the students to create a goal of where they want to reach. In other words, the goal setting will be answering the why. In that, we need to create for them the ability of persistence. They're going to find failures. They're going to find setbacks. How they are going to overcome those failures, how they're going to, and which are not failures, are learning opportunities. Self-awareness of what they have and what they need. Motivation, help seeking, progress monitor, and self-efficacy. The other that we also go across in all our program is the learning techniques. And in our learning techniques, referring to time management, study skills, test-taking skills, note-taking skills, strategy for reading. And in that, we always highly recommend our students to practice what is called speed reading. In my case, as English is my second language, speed reading has become very helpful for me to read in English, which is the second language, for comprehension. Collaborative learning and technology proficiency. The last one is something that we have to focus even more now as we find ourselves in our entire world depending on technology to be able to function. The fourth key that we refer to is the transition of knowledge and skill. With that, we go through the context, the contextual, the procedural, financial, and cultural aspect. In the contextual, we refer to what school, if you want to become a certain career, what are the skills that you need as a 9 through 12? What are the classes you need to take? What will be the best connection of a program for post-secondary that you should be looking at? And if that program or that institution offers a program for high school students. Now, also for English language learners, specifically, we always look at these skills that we were looking in language acquisition, where the students will first focus on the first two skills, which is the cognitive strategies and knowledge of content. They, as you see, one circle will go inside the other because they do intertwine, and they need one over the other. But in order for them to learn the skills and techniques, they need to have proficiency in the language. Y tenemos que, yo soy uno de los partícipes del programa bilingüe, de que tenemos que mantener nuestra lengua, pero tenemos que también reconocer que la lengua en el país para poder funcionar es el inglés en común. Ahora, aquí les traigo un ejemplo de los programas que tenemos con las universidades del Cuny, la institución de Cuny, específicamente para el programa de carreras técnicas educacionales, conocido como CTE. Ahora mismo vigente tenemos articulaciones con la Universidad Bronx Community College, Orem Community College, Osus Community College, New York City College of Technology, known as City Tech, New York State Institute of Technology, known as NYIT. These are in the following sectors: automotive and transportation, business and finance, construction and sustainability, culinary arts, hospitality, engineering, architecture, robotics, healthcare, information technology, media technology and design, and theater. In these programs, the students can earn up to 6 college credits. Now, we can go into any questions that may have.
Oh my God, you are such a great panelist, just in time.
Yes.
Okay, so before we go to the questioning session, I want to remind you, or I want to add to what I say about Judy Lewis and Gilberto Garcia. Judy Lewis, she has been University of Valley, Utah. She has been a UVU adjunct faculty for the past 16 years. She has taught research methods of emergency services and university student success. During the past 8 years, she has served as a program director of the UV's Latino initiative. Under her leadership, the Latino student enrollment at UVU has increased 361%, and the Latino student graduation headcount by 425%. It's remarkable. UV has the highest Latino student enrollment as a 4-year institution in the state of Utah. Her work with the Latino initiative has been recognized by the state of Utah, nationally and internationally. The UVU Latino initiative has been recognized by the White House as a bright spot for Hispanic excellence in 2015 and as a finalist of the Sample of Excellence in the Hispanic Education by Excellencia in Education, based in Washington, D.C. for 2 years, 2013 and 2015. Additionally, about Gilberto Garcia, he directs college career readiness initiative in partnership with various higher education institutions and education stakeholders across the New York State, working with constituents across K-12 and higher education. Gilberto ensured that the Office of Post-Secondary Readiness within New York City DOE meet the needs of the diverse student population they serve. Gilberto earned a bachelor's degree at SUNY Westbury and 2 master's degrees from Formación University. They are all yours. So let's see. Let's go to see. If you have a question, you can raise your hand. But I'm going to read the comments that we have in the chat before we get to your questions. I don't need to say the names. I'm just gonna say the comments. But we need more of the work currently being done by Gilberto and Judy. Judy is sharing her email, so anybody that wants to get in contact with her can get it from the chat. I understand having to learn the language in the host home. My question then becomes why, oops, I lost it. Why? This is a question. Let's go back to the question. I lost it. Somebody said something else. Okay. I understand that having to learn the language in the host home. My question then becomes why we are not encouraged or have dual language program like for other languages. I'm going to go back to the question. So take notes. I'm going to read all the comments. So take notes that you can then answer the questions. I'm going to repeat the questions. My question then becomes, why are we not encouraged or have dual languages programs like other languages? Somebody say, wow. Saludos, colegas. We are excited to see you at this year DSA 2019. This is from we are deeply grateful for this renowned artist and donation. So, this is an announcement. Go and visit our art fair. The link is right here. You can view the catalog. El catálogo está ahí. Pueden ver las obras de arte que estamos vendiendo para recolectar los fondos para esta actividad. For those presenters, how has the pandemic impacted the students' population where you are working now? You have two questions there. I'm going to repeat the second question. For both presenters, how has the pandemic impacted the student population where you are working now? And I have two questions for both. I think there is one question for both of you. I see that what you do and what Anna also do, and I also do it, it's the networking with the people in power, the people that assign you the funds, the networking. One within the community that you work, and the other with the elected official, the community, the people that have the power. Can you explain that to our audience in in a way that they can understand how important that work is for us to reach out to both community to be able to be more successful, to carry out our mission in the community that we serve?
Juan, if it's okay, I'll go ahead and start. And just by saying that my lens, my framework as I work in the Latino initiative, as I work in higher education, comes from a first generation Dominicana, from a very low socioeconomical background. And one who had the opportunity to go to high school in New York City. One of my dear mentors, Washington Collado, is on the call. He has been a role model for me and for so many students. So when I'm looking at the work that I do at the university, the position that I have, I look at that opportunity as an opportunity to pay it forward, to do for others what somebody else did for me. Meaning that in creating partnerships on campus with the school districts and with the community, it's not important, it's critical to do the work. And it's not necessarily that administrators, in my case, I don't know for Gilberto, but in my case, administrators are not necessarily assigning budget or money to do the work that we do here. Basically, I had to learn to do grant and fundraising, grant writing and fundraising, so that I can facilitate some of the programming that happens. And somebody in the chat said, so can you speak about the I would say, the dynamics, of creating those partnerships. in every meeting that I go as a Latina, going into a space where I'm the only one representing that population, or I'm the only Latina in a predominantly white campus, have to remember every time I go to, we not only have to be prepared twice, but we have to be at least 5 times prepared to go into that space. But going into that space with a mentality of negotiating. And I think that my Dominican background allows me to do that, to go into a space and just say, okay, I'm going to reframe it. Vamos a buscar la vuelta. How do we explain, how do we help other people that do not have the same experiences? They might have great intentions, but they do not have the same experiences that we do, being in this body and en este acento. So how do we help others see what the students need?
Your research is within the community. That's your role. Within the community, you reach out to the students and the parents. You pass out information and you bring to your college. You bring them to your college.
Let me clarify something. We do have a prospective student services office that is a recruiting office. My office is not a recruiting office. We do outreach, but we do intentional outreach that is culturally relevant. But in that outreach, I am creating partnerships with academic departments within the university and with other Utah universities. And again, working with the school districts, but it's not about bringing students to UVU only. It's about creating partnerships that allow for programs to exist, you know, and again, looking at it with that framework.
Look at your email, Judy. You have a question there that you can answer to them. They are asking if those programs are available for people living in the Dominican Republic.
Not right now, but these programs, you know, like the Summer Bridge program that we offer, it is a program, and I'm happy to connect with any one of you, because it's a program that could possibly be established where you live, you know, with your local universities. Again, there's a lot of negotiation and a lot of conversations that would need to happen, but I can help you facilitate. We had run this program for 10 years, this particular program. We had other cohorts, like for example, education, wanting more students to go into the teaching field. And so I have a lot of experience in, and we have learned a lot of things that work and a lot of things that do not work. But my experience is in negotiating and creating spaces where we can have conversations like this.
Thank you.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
First of all, congratulations to both Gilberto and you, Judy. The presentations are very substantive, very good presentations. I have a question regarding COVID-19. What has been the impact of the pandemic on the population of students that you work with? And what do you think would be the ramifications of that? It's for both. The question is for both.
Gilberto, if you want to speak, I can take it, but I'll share the space too. You're muted.
COVID-19 impact on the population you serve and work with, and what would be the ramifications of that?
So just going back to I always like to leave the lady first.
Okay.
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 And then I think that's one of the second question that we were asked before. There was 3 questions before, and that's question number 2, or part of question number 2 that was asked. Right, Tineo?
Sí.
Yes, right?
Puede incluirla, sí.
Sí. So so Yudi, you can start, and then I will, when you allow me, I will come in.
So with COVID-19, we have learned that basically we need to do, as institutions of higher education, we need to do things differently. We need to think, as I mentioned, outside of the box. Like one of the things that I have created for my office, for the Latino initiative, is basically an online office space. It's a Zoom link that students, parents can get in, and basically they can talk to a live person, you know, just creating that sense again of community. We have seen that many students at our campus have withdrawn from school, specifically in the fall semester, as we are, well, in the last 2 weeks since Utah COVID-19 numbers have increased drastically, all of our classes are completely online when it comes to higher education in Utah, except for some of the lab classes. So we've seen that. We've seen, as we heard in the other panels, and we've seen in all the different news articles, that COVID-19 has basically opened up a window of opportunity for people to see the needs, the real needs of our students. Does that make sense? And perhaps how is it that our universities and our spaces of higher education and even K-12 are addressing the needs of those students? So,
right? The underlying conditions that have been there, they just resurface, right?
Exactly, they just resurface, you know, like, for example, going back to the summer bridge program, for us, we never had to think about, because we had the computer labs on campus and internet access on campus, but having the students complete their courses online, we were thinking about computer access, internet access. You know, there were other things that we needed to look at in order to have a successful program offered. Entonces, tuvimos que mirar muchas cosas cuando Rafael Gutiérrez tenías el comentario de qué pasa con los estudiantes que no tienen internet, que no tienen computadoras, que no tienen equipos, y cuando pedimos que también enciendan sus cámaras, nosotros nos aseguramos de tener el dinero para poder comprar computadoras y poder prestarle computadora a los estudiantes. Hablamos con los estudiantes, explicándole que necesitaban estar en un lugar, una pared, que tuviera una pared atrás, que no, aunque no tuvieran nada atrás, y también para cubrir los gastos del internet.
Okay, that's what we call recalibrating. Gilberto, we passed already 5 minutes, so in less than 5 minutes, answer the 3 questions. And somebody asked a question. Do you do anything on the middle school level? I guess that we are talking here about high school and college readiness. So, Gilberto, if you do anything for high school, you can cover it up.
Okay, so middle school. That's a 4th question for me.
Yeah,
the first question you asked.
It up.
Yes, the dual language. We have actually. I was working with the Division of English Language Learners, and a Deputy Chancellor, Deputy Milady Baez, during her tenure of 2014 to 2018-19. In that time, we were able to open 40 dual language programs in 11 different languages, not only in Spanish, English, but in 11 different languages, 40 programs in the last of those 4 years. So there was a question about having more dual language programs. The city has been, based on the need of the schools, they have to be a need, has been opening programs in the districts here. Remember, New York City for the state is 1 district, but in that district we have 36 sub-districts. So we have incremented the numbers of dual language programs. How the pandemic has impacted us. In the first wave, we took off on a plane without no engine and we were cruising. That's how it happened. But in that, everybody came in. All the community-based organizations, everybody chipped in. One of the examples is the cable companies, the local cable companies offer free internet services for all students who cannot afford to pay for internet. We had many private and public entities that came and gave us electronic devices, so we were able to facilitate it to students. So in the lapse of 4 weeks, we were able to have more than 95% of our students, which is 1.7 million, with electronic devices in their hand. Network and politics, you also mentioned that. I understand education is always connected to politics. And it's because it does move, education moves the politics. We are on the obligation of forming our next generations. And that's what anybody who's in public office should be doing. In regards to a factor in the pandemic, we just found out this week, we have 110 children in homeless situation that live in shelter and so on. And those students right now, we are in the 2nd wave. We had to close again the schools in and we're reopening again this week, we had to create additional services and additional support for those students. In New York City, we had to create what we call the learning bridges now. It was called the remote learning centers in the first wave. Now we call it the bridge learning, where it's a place where students can come and be supported academically. If there is more need, and of course there is, we have a big gap in our population, which are in the Bronx and in the Upper Manhattan, where academically probably we will have a big deficiency in 3 years from now and 2 years from now. The last question you asked me was middle school. Many of this initiative starts in middle schools and it goes up. When I mentioned the CTE programs signed, that is the ones who are signed. We do have programs that are functioning in place right now, but they have not been officially signed, and therefore I cannot acknowledge them yet. And it's bad because I feel sometimes like Ostos and myself, we have worked in many programs with our English language learner in the districts of the Bronx. Yet, as it was not an agreement per se done by the mayor and the president of Ostos, I cannot mention it. That's politics. Did I have enough?
No, Gilberto and Judy, we passed the time. I want to thank you and congratulate you. And Gilberto, I want you to think about how within the VOE you can get to the community beside the community colleges, because I think and it is kind of my experience that a lot of our students, especially we that come from other places, you know, without the English language, the strength in the English language, we need more. We need more preparation, more remedial classes within the community before we even get to the community colleges and college. So I don't know how you can throw that there. I understand your position.
No, espérate. Yo no tengo mucho que perder. Yo tengo todos los años del mundo.
Just throw it there. You push.
Yo tengo casi medio siglo encima. Lo que me falta son 2 o 3 días para el medio siglo.
You just throw it there and let's see what happens.
Cuando tú quieras, nos podemos sentar porque ahí en Queens, it's a big community that we can work on.
I'm here in the community. Most of the work that I do in this community as a volunteer. But we have a voice.
Yes.
So
we would like to probably open a program with Queens Community College, because I believe Queens Community. You're in Queens. No, I'm sorry, Queens College, not Queens Community College. Queens College.
I'm not adjunct at Queens College. So
yes.
I don't know. Let me know. We can talk.
If you can help me make that connection, I can make it happen.
I go with you, but within the community.
Yeah.
You know,
you have my number. Call me.
Yes.
Okay.
Like a remedial program within the community, just that our students, our people don't feel intimidated, you know, by the grading, by the, you know, the A, B, C, D grades that intimidate our community without feeling ready to go into college.
Yes, and by the way, this presentation I also do it for parents, and I make it in lay language for parents to understand about the curriculum and so on. So cuando tú quieras, con todo el gusto, voy allí. Okay, esa es la ventaja que tengo.
Right now I'm talking with the hat of the Dominican Studies Association. I
Sí.
want to thank both of you for your participation.